In a proportional reasoning question, it's important that we look at two different rates in a fair way. We can only compare rates when they're out of the same number of things. This is why we talked about unit rates. Unit rates are how much for one of something. So when we compare one of each thing, it's a fair comparison. In this question, we look at two students who are working part-time jobs. The first student's pay check is $65.75 for 5 hours of work. And we know that the second student makes $14 per hour. And we want to decide which student makes more per hour. It wouldn't be fair to compare someone working for 5 hours with someone working for 1 hour. So we have to make the number of hours each student works the same. There's lots of different ways we can do this, but usually we just find out the unit rate, how much for 1 hour of work for each student. Luckily, we already know that the second student makes $14 per hour. So all we really need to calculate is for student 1, how much do they make for 1 hour? We know that they make $65.75 for 5 hours, so $65.75 for 5 hours of work. And we want to know how much for 1 hour of work. So we set up a proportion and we want to find how much they get paid per hour. We know the amount for 5 hours, so all we have to do is divide the cost, the amount they're making, by 5 hours to get the pay per hour. So the first student, when I divide $65.75 by 5 hours of work, I get $13.15 per hour. So my conclusion is that student 2 is making more per hour. The second part of this question asks us, how many hours will each student need to work to save up $120? We're going to set up a ratio to do this again. So student 1 is making $13.50 for 1 hour of work. And we want to know how many hours must they work to make at least $120. So I'm going to have to figure out, what do I multiply $13.50 by to get 120? So 120 divided by $13.50 gives us $9.13. So whatever I do to the top, I also do to the bottom. 1 hour times 9.13 tells us that our answer is that to make $120, student 1 must work for 9.13 hours approximately. So student 1 is working for 10 hours. They're going to sign up for 10 hours of work in order to make over $120. The second student, we're going to set up the same way. So student 2, we're going to take their hourly rate, $14 for 1 hour. And we want to again know how many hours for $120. So what do we need to multiply 14 by to get 120? So we're going to take 120 and divide it by 14. So that's going to give us 8.57 as our number that we're going to multiply by. And if we take 1 hour and multiply it by that same 8.57, we come up with 8.57 hours. So student 2 then would have to sign up to work for 9 hours. So that's one way to set up this part of the question. The other thing that you could do is simply take each of the hourly rates and take your total that they're interested in making, and you could just do the total divided by the hourly rate. So for student 1, $120 divided by $13.15 for 1 hour should give us 9.13 hours. And for student 2, if we take $120 and we divide it by $14 per hour, 120 divided by 14 gives us the 8.57 hours.